Welcome to the Three River Valley series for Workers and Resources Soviet Republic. We're picking up on the 7th of March 1992, and in this part I want to look at, well, it's a combination of two things. We're going to be looking at the auto replacement option and also the scrap yards down here and how they work with the auto replacement. But before that, I just want to mention that we are now on the 0.8.919 update. This was released on the 27th of July 2023. It's obviously a whole list of bug releases, but I just want to mention a couple that struck me straight away. The first one is that we've actually got 5 new music tracks. Now, I'm aware that I play with the music down very low, mainly because I find that the music distracting when I'm trying to concentrate, but there are 5 new tracks if you want to listen to them. Now, the two features that really caught my attention is one's very useful, and it took me a little while to find a way to demonstrate this. You see this distribution office here, we got this truck at the end. He's got still 0.73 tons of construction waste sat in there. And that's the reason for that is that I've actually shut this distribution office down. But what they've done now is they've added a new button, because of course one of the biggest bugbears with distribution offices is the fact that when you get stuff stuck in the back of a vehicle, it won't do anything. And what you can do now, as you can see here, I'll just let the game run quickly. You see he's not moving, but what they've done now is added this button on the end here. If I click it, what you'll see is this guy will now leave and go to the drop-off point where he can get rid of the well, it says mixed waste on here, but he had construction waste on in here, and he's going to general separation to drop that off. The one thing I will probably suggest is that for this to work, this has to have a destination where it can actually drop off, because it can't just go to an arbitrary location and empty out. So you may have to add a destination like I did here for mixed waste. But it seems to work, and I think that's quite a good quality of life improvement. Now, the second one is related to waste management, and I can't really demonstrate it, but I'll just talk a little bit about it from the context of the here, and that is that they've increased the speed of decomposition of ash. So hopefully what it might mean is we may not have to have such extensive amounts of ash piling up here. Of course, it's difficult to see it because, of course, it's just a number clicking down here inside of this area here. What we're going to be doing is I'm going to be completely upfront. This is my second attempt at making this video. I did struggle through the first attempt, but I had a few problems with things that caught me out and I didn't quite understand. And I want to give a special shout out to Vimes, who helped me sort out a few issues, and I'll mention them as we go through. Now, the way I'm going to do this video is that I'm going to talk about the auto replacement without scrap yards enabled, and that is this option here. It says send to scrapyard. Now, if anyone's not sure what the scrapyards are an option down here which only come available if I come up to here, and if I turn off demolition, we go there, you'll see that immediately the scrapyards disappear. And so if you're not playing with demolition enabled, all you can do is just use this in an automatic mode, where what it does, in fact, you can see that the checkbox has disappeared now. So what I'll do is I'll just do this with demolition disabled, just to show that this is the way this actually works. Now, before we get into looking at the automatic replacement, I just want to demonstrate the manual replacement, because there's a little bit of an oddity here. So the way you replace vehicles is you click on here, you've got a button up here that says replace vehicle. Now, you can send it to the depot, but if you send it to a depot, you don't seem to get a replacement. So what you do is you click on the customs office there. And what you'll see now is that the truck has disappeared, but if we let the game run, what should happen is a new truck will come out and do it. So what you get is a like-for-like replacement. And probably the best way to describe that is that if I come over to here, now if I come into here, what you see is you've got this whole frame here where you set up the configuration. Now if I can find the Zoob trucks, now bear in mind these are modded trucks. These are not trucks that are available in the base game. And if I'm gonna have to see if I can sort them. There we are, down here. It's on page 8 right at the bottom here. As I say, the icons are quite small, but what you see here, this is the way that you confirm the replacement. But if I click on here, you see that there is no replacement for this vehicle. So there's no replacement listed there. And that's not historical. That is but simply the fact that the game says that there is no valid replacement, because the other way that you can do, and this is the way this actually works. So say this truck here, and you see the little red cross, it says that this vehicle is not. And if you click in here, what you can do is select an open hole, and what that does is replace it. And the same here, see, so you can go through. Now, and as you can see at the bottom, I don't know if you guys can see, is I've got 227 varieties of vehicle. The reason for that is that I've been playing this since 1928, so I've got some very old vehicles in here. Now, just to demonstrate this anomaly, now if I click on this, you can see we've got 4 Zoob trucks in here. Now, if I go up to the actual border post and click on here, and we just click on here, you can see the window closes immediately, because technically that vehicle no longer exists. But if we come in here, see we've got a Zoob truck come out here, and if we come over to here, just to show that I'm not doing any hocus pocus, what you will find is over here we've only got 3 trucks. So if we let this, as the game runs, what will happen is that truck will replace. So if you do a manual replacement, you get a like for like. What I've found with the auto replacement that is there isn't an option in here. Say for example, if I turn off purchase of vehicles, so I'm saying I'm only going to get them internally, the game doesn't replace the vehicle. So that's something you do need to be aware of. So you do need to keep this up to date. The game doesn't replace a vehicle if there's not a valid replacement to do it. Anyway, we're just going to leave that there. What I'm going to do now is try and demonstrate the auto replacement. Now, just to give you a bit of a background for this, if I come into here and show you the trucks, we're just going to do trucks for auto replacement. And if you click on show wear and tear, if I sort by wear and tear, what you'll see is there's also an age here. And if I do the whole map, what you see is we've got vehicles that are over 52%, and they've got 53%, and you've got some vehicles which are 5 years of age. What I'm going to do for this demonstration is I'm going to switch it on like you should do, but the problem is that the vehicle exchanges can be very quick, so I might not be able to catch them. And then what I'll do is an extreme version, just so that you guys can get an idea of how things actually go and what the possible impact can be. So the first thing we're going to do is come in here. Now, I know this is going to be artificial, but I'm going to leave the wear and tear at 50%. Oh, you've got to switch on automatic replacement. This only applies to automatic replacement. It's also worth noting that there is an entry for every single vehicle type, including personal cars at the end there, which gives you the ability to decide what needs to be auto replaced. I think the main reason for doing this is that when you get into scrapping, you may want to control this a little bit more. So you've got ordinary vehicles, you've got list trains, and it's quite interesting that that definition of trains also includes the construction trains. You can see that the reason for that is, if I turn this on, you can see they've got the trains here. It doesn't include cargo wagon, but what this does is it only lists the vehicles that are in your whole economy. It's the same with ships here. We've got no aircraft, we've got helicopters, and of course we've got trucks. So what we're going to do is, now we've got this enabled, I'm going to change the vehicle age to 5 years. And we keep the game on pause. Now, I have practiced this, I'll be completely upfront, because I'm hoping that this is going to work. What I am going to do is open up this and open this little window here. You can see straight away we've got something's been picked up from Clotherton Hospital now, which is completely unexpected. I just love this game sometimes. That didn't happen when I did this before, but then I've played the game on a little bit. Now what happens is that if we find Clotherton Hospital, which is this one, you can see that the ambulance there, which was a what was it, an old YA3452A, has disappeared. It's one of these ones that's just above here, which is this one. Now that has disappeared. What happens is that when you do an auto replacement, the vehicle that's being replaced disappears. I think it does that to create the slot so that the game can allocate to here. And what will happen is, in the same way as the manual replacement, the ambulance will come out of there. But what I want to do is hover over here, because what should happen is, I just want to show you this first. You can see this is completely full. Now I want to let the game run, and it probably won't do it, but because this may happen very, very quickly. Okay, this let me just check. Yeah, it says 5.4 years. Wear and tear is 52%. So why is this PZ672 not being replaced? It meets the criteria. Come to here. What was it again? This is one of the fiddly things about this. In fact, it seems to... It has disappeared. Let me just get back to there. I think it kind of... I don't understand. Unless it's... let me just look. Oh, still there. It's the PZ672. Let's go back to here. Let me just find the PZ672 just to make sure that it is available. I'll be completely upfront. This is quite a complicated thing. It's also worth noting that these the game will list the NATO vehicles as well. But the one thing I have noticed is that it kind of mixes the two up together, and it can be a little bit difficult to see what is actually going on. But back to the PZ, wherever it is. Actually, what we got here, these are buses. Let me just filter it a bit more finely. That's a bit better. Forgot about that. It says that the replacement is an ESAR thing, so it should replace it. Maybe... I think the game don't, because you've got to remember it's scanning lots and lots of vehicles. So we're just going to let the game run again. Right, I'm just going to let the game run, guys, and see if this will actually do it. It's now fired. We've got the PZ862. So it's just fired from here. You can see the slot has disappeared. It's not going to do it, is it? And there's the bus coming out of there. So that's basically how it works with respect to auto replacement. And what you do is you get this list up here. The only thing I will say about this list is that it will get longer and longer. It'd be nice if there was a filter option on here, because I think over a period of time you could end up with pages of it. Now, just to give you a breakdown of this thing, it says it starts with the replacement date. So it tells you when the vehicle was replaced. It gives you the old vehicle, the new vehicle, the working location, how much wear and tear it had, its age. It says 5 years. I'm not exactly sure why that one said it was 3 years, 15 days. The thing they also need to remember is that you have to pay for the replacement. So you actually have to sell the vehicle back to the thing and then pay for the new vehicle coming in. So what if I show you that economically? So what you get is vehicles exported, vehicles imported. So you've got this one here, although it says we made 362,000 there. I'm not exactly sure. and it says vehicles imported minus 268.63. Now this could be due to the fact that we're not using the scrapyards. Let's just do a bit quick check. That's saying that we've got, that adds up to 260,000, which is the price of the vehicles imported. So that's actually coming up as an imported. I'm not exactly sure where the export is. And what we've done is we've replaced one of these. I don't know how much one of these would cost if we bought one. Let me just see. I'll be completely honest, if I'm kind of floundering a little bit here. And IKR 256 is 268,000. But then again, that's an import, isn't it? Let me just see. I think I'm reading this wrong. But that's the 268,000. So it's not really showing the cost of the exports. Interesting. But it says I exported 362,000 in vehicles. That is how the auto replacement actually works. Now, what I want to do is give you a bit of a dramatic example of what of it, so that just to show you something that I did by accident. So what we've got now is we've got this bus will come in and go into there. Now, if you're wondering what I was trying to demonstrate, is that when I was testing this earlier, and because this is the third time I've actually done this run, and the bus actually appeared in the depot. It didn't appear in the customs shed and then went to there. But obviously the game has decided to do it properly by actually picking up from the customs shed, because I would have guessed that the depot itself would need a bus in there to pick it up, because that's what comes down to these options here, which is the from a depot, from vehicle storage, from purchase of new. So what that means is that if you put vehicles into depots, what should happen, I haven't been able to test this, so this is just pure theory. The game will bring the vehicles from the nearest depot rather than going to the customs shed, because obviously we get to the center of the map. And the vehicle storage relates to if you're constructing your own vehicles. So what I'm going to do now, just to be a little bit dramatic, because I want to show you what it actually looks like, and we might also get an idea of what there. So I'm going to drop that to 4 years, and then we're going to come here, history of automatic vehicles. Now it will take a little while to kind of wake up, and what you'll see is it should start to pick up as it gets into the 50. Here we go. Yeah, that one's going to, what are you doing there? Clotheston maintenance custom shed. Just let the game run at high speed. Maybe I need to give it a little bit more of a shove. Actually, I think what I'll do is to make it a little bit more dramatic, I'll go to there and drop the maintenance down to, say, 47%. Now what will happen is, whoops, this is what I'm trying to demonstrate. What you will see is that now you will see the trucks coming in here, and more importantly, you'll probably see a lot more trucks coming in across the border down here as well. So what happens is you get a flow of trucks coming out, and this is what I was looking for. What you will see is as this runs, but pay attention, see that the trucks, because this is dropping all the trucks off, you've got so many trucks in here, but it doesn't show up. See, there we are. These are all the replacement trucks in here, and you can see what's actually happening is it's clogging up the customs shed. So effectively all your deliveries are stopped while this is going on here. And of course I accept that this is, I mean, we've got 2 pages of vehicles here, but it shows that if you get a sudden peak and it hits a certain customs shed, it can cripple this area here. This is what I suppose, in a way, what I'm doing now is making a case for using scrapyards. is probably the best way to describe it. That is the situation. It's also worth noting that you get rollers. I've also seen forklift trucks. The only vehicle that doesn't come out of here automatically is these here. And bearing in mind that these are also subject to wear and tear. So the one vehicle that I haven't really worked out how it actually gets scrapped or replaced is tower crane. I've got a feeling that if you want to replace a tower crane, you may have to do it manually, because if I remember correctly, if you look in here, I did take a look through, if we set it to all, that the tower cranes do not appear in the list of vehicles to be obtained. So that's the one that I've found that does not fit. I have seen forklift trucks. I don't know if I can see any in this list here. Look, no. But I have seen forklift trucks actually traveling on the road by themselves, but that was to scrapyards. Maybe the auto replacement doesn't work with that. So hopefully that makes sense. Apologies if it's a bit confusing, but it's quite a difficult thing to represent. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to reload the game, because obviously I've messed up all this and I don't want to do it. And then we're going to start looking at it again, but in the context of a scrapping facility. Okay guys, welcome back. What we're going to do now is repeat what we've just done, but we're going to be using the scrapyard, which is under here. And what you see is there's we got one for scrapping vehicles, and there's two sizes. There's one small one, which is the one we're going to be using simply because of, well, the nature of where I've got to put it. The larger vehicle scrapping one, if I show you this, it's got a rail connection. We're not going to mess with trains because it means I would have to lay in lots and lots of track to try and get this connected, because this is being bolted in. You can see this is a lot bigger. And just to show you, this actually needs a workforce of 120, and the smaller one's got a workforce of 50. I'll just put that in, get going. I'm just going to drop it in here. The reason I'm dropping it in here is that the scrapyards do produce a bit of pollution, so be aware of that. So but this is kind of a ideal location. Just put that road in there. It doesn't need to be min-max efficient. I'm going to just put the helicopter crews on to build it, because we are in realistic mode. It shouldn't take long because I've deliberately let them run down their jobs so they can do it. So while that's building, I'm just going to talk about some of the other options to do with scrapping, because the way I see it is that the big one here has the rail tracks on it. Now there's a shipping one, both large and small as well, but obviously I'm not going to do it. I'll just give you a quick view of what that is, because what you're going to have to do is build a shipping scrapyard. I did consider trying to do this, but the problem is that, again, the shipping one needs a workforce, small one needs a workforce of 90, and the large one needs a workforce of 280. And the problem is that I don't really know where I could fit this in, because it's not a lot of space here. With respect, and this is up this end. I could try down here, but this is something that I think one of the things I have come to the conclusion is that when you are just starting out, now obviously you're not going to need a scrapyard for, in here it says the default is 24 years, but I think that it's going to be quite important to plan. If you're going to be playing with demolition on, you need to plan your scrapyards as you go along, for a reason which will become apparent once we actually get it up and running. And if you're going to use ships, you're going to need it. Now the one that's noticeably missing is there isn't one for aircraft, because obviously the shipping one is well, see if we can put it over here. Not that we're going to build it. It's probably hitting that building though. Maybe we can just put it in about here. Must admit, putting ports down. This can be a bit tricky because you've got to get bit in the water, bit out. Not that this is infrastructure. Not exactly sure. It's it's probably hitting. It's hitting the other side of there. Anyway, so I'm kind of getting a bit distracted. So, and now the other thing that struck me is scrapping trams and trolley buses. Now, trams, I think I know how you could do a tram route. And again, I'm just going to drop a scrapyard in here for demonstration purposes. We're not going to build it. But I just want to show you what I think, and I want to emphasize it would have to be a rail one. This is how you would scrap trams. Now, what you'd have to do is have a rail line come out of there. Actually, do it the opposite way round. I mean, if any of you guys have done it, this is a... Well, it's a bit tight, but haha. And then what you do is have to connect this by train. Like that. You probably would have to do something like that. So you need a connection there. Now, what I'm assuming is that if you've made a connection like this, the trams that need to be scrapped would be able to go down here and go along the rail track to the distribution. That means that if you're going to use trams, you're going to need possibly a rail interconnect to the rail network so the tram could travel along the trains. Now, again, I want to emphasize this is hypothetical, so I'm not sure the way it would actually go. The only other option I can think of is that if you're going to replace trams, that you actually just do it manually, but you can still take them to the scrapyard, I hope. So that's something that maybe think. Now, trolley buses, the only thing I can think with a trolley bus is the game does seem to bend the rules when it comes to auto scrapping. Don't know why the game's on pause, but yeah, the game does seem to bend the rules a little bit with respect to sending vehicles to the scrapyard. So I'm wondering whether trolley buses, if any of you guys know this, feel free to confirm it in the comments, that a trolley bus somehow is able to travel to a scrapyard even though it's not powered. I have done a quick test with respect to trains, and what I will say is that if you've got electric trains, that the rail track to the scrapyard must be electrified, otherwise the train won't run. So, but I think with trains that use fuel, and this is also applies to vehicles, is that they don't seem to need fuel to get there, and that's why I'm extending that in with respect to trolley buses, that the trolley buses will actually get things done. Now, so while this is going, I just want to talk a little bit more about the scrapyards, because this is the thing which I needed help from Vines from, because when I built my first scrapyard and I was making this video for the first time round, if I show you here with the scrapping facility, as they call it, what you'll see is that the resources, it says it's got an export for steel, mechanical components, metal scrap, aluminium scrap, aluminium, and electro components, and then it says 50 tons of mixed waste. And this is something that's quite important, because once we actually build it, I'll demonstrate that the scrapyard has got two modes. The first mode is very simple, very quick, and basically it turns every vehicle into a big pile of a mixed waste with a high metal content. And then the other one is much slower, which will literally breaks the vehicle down into its component parts, which you can then retrieve. That's the reason why, if we come to here and switch on here, you've got so many connections here, because it's also interesting that I'll show you the scrapyard there. You will see that there's actually a conveyor belt connection to this. Now, that conveyor belt connection isn't for construction waste, it's actually for metallic waste. And if anyone who hasn't watched my previous videos on this, this is the type of setup. And what you've got here is the separation plant producing metallic waste, which is then being dropped into this aggregate store. So your actual metallic and aluminium waste I think it does apply to aluminium waste as well, doesn't it? I think it does. Also, no, it says just construction waste. For some reason, aluminium waste is treated separately. Oh, didn't know that. But what you see here is this is kicking in as the metal scrap comes out. Oh yeah, we've got aluminium scrap just at the bottom there as well. So aluminium scrap, metal scrap, and construction waste can be stored through an aggregate. And that's the reason why this scrapyard has got a conveyor collection, but it's also got a lot of other connections as well, because obviously if you're going to be pulling out large quantities of materials, so again, just go back to here. So obviously mechanical components, electro components will need a small warehouse, and the steel and aluminium. So if you're processing steel and aluminium, because the aluminium will come from helicopters, although I'm not. No, it might not come from trains. I'm not sure why you'd have aluminium in this, unless there's going to be some way that helicopters can be deconstructed here as well. So we're just going to let these guys go. They shouldn't take long to finish it, so we'll be ready to go. I just want to check, make sure. Yeah, we still got automatic replacement off. And I just want to go through very quickly. I think another tip here, guys, is that you're going to have to get into the habit of going through here and checking from time to time that these are all up to date, because of course if you've got the option for vehicles to go out of date, so I must have missed one, so we're going to put that in there. This is one thing I will say, is that you don't get details of the original vehicle. So if you're running small covered holes, you're going to have to guess it, but I'm just going to be a bit casual here. We're just going to go big time for what have we got here. We got, see again, this one here, this open hole here is not giving you the full range. It's a bit strange, actually. This is a covered hole. This is a bus. Oh, it must be. Okay, we're just going to give it that bus there. This is another bus. What is this? This is a covered hole. That's the Zoob, which means I've got no replacement for it. This is a covered hole. I'm just going to put in the default ones. This is a snowplow. So you do seem to need to keep this up to date, because I thought I'd gone through all this. That's a Zoob as well. That's a Zoob. And what we got here, that's a Zoob. But as the game moves forward, these will change. Now, there's the one thing that I can't understand is it says replace oldest vehicle. I'm not exactly sure how that works at the moment. So I don't know why the game's on pause. I'm just gonna let this build. So right, guys, what I'm gonna do now is just let this build out and get settled down. We're waiting for mechanical components, and I'll be right back when this is built. Okay, guys, welcome back. We're just about to build. So we've now built the scrapping facility. Now, before we get into doing any scrapping, I just want to emphasize that once you've got a scrapyard built, now the vehicles won't go to it until you switch on auto replacement, and put on here, it says send to scrapyard. Now, one thing you do need to be aware of is that if you click this button and you haven't built a scrapyard, what happens is that this mechanism doesn't appear to work. And I'll be able to demonstrate a variation of that in once we've actually got going. But before we set this, we're just going to leave this at 24 years, because the first thing I want to show you is we've now got our scrapyard. You can see we've got our resources here. And I'm just going to show you the button which I missed completely, and it was Vime's suggestion that actually drew my attention to it. It's in very faint print just below where it says current production perception, and it says collect resources from vehicles. Now, to demonstrate what I mean by that is we're just going to slow the game down a bit. I'm just going to manually now replace this vehicle, but you see here, you can't actually replace the vehicle manually through the scrapyard. But what you can do is go this way, and you can send the truck like that for manual scrapping. Just let it run. But what happens is you end up with a vacancy here that you actually need to what you actually need to do is have to replace it manually. So what you see is you come in here, and I'll pause it straight away. What you'll see is, because we don't have the box checked, what the game is going to do is turn this KMZ 5320 into 10 tons of mixed waste, which is going to come down to here. So if we just let that run, and if I come down to here and show you the mixed waste, apologies for the small print, you'll see that it's there's little bits of burnable waste and biological waste and a tiny bit of plastic waste, but it's more than 50% metal. And you can see it's powering through very, very quickly. The vehicle is actually inside the building, and you can see that, and I can't remember how many days, but I think it's about 29 days that it takes to scrap that vehicle. I'm gonna purchase a new one of these because we're going to destroy another one. I don't want to. I'm just going to buy another one. Now I want to show you the difference, and you can see we actually produced, what was that, 10.19 tons of waste. I do need to set this up actually while I'm at it as well, and tell it to pick up the mixed waste from here. Otherwise what will happen is we will run out of space very quickly, like that. Now if I switch this on, it says here collect waste from there, and we do it again, and we're just going to have to say is change the depot again. I know it's a bit harsh on these guys, but and we'll just buy the replacement in straight away. We'll just buy the replacement in. Now what you will see, we now come in here, and if I pause it again, you see this is now going to take 147 days. It was. We're going to get 1.3 tons of metallic scrap, 6.9 tons of steel, 0.96 tons of mechanical components, 0.13 of electrical components, and 0.63 of mixed waste. So you can see that the waste output has dropped dramatically, but we are now going to get the resources flowing into there. In fact, we probably get a little bit more. But what you will see here is, bearing in mind that we don't really have that many staff in here, they've got some reinforcements just arriving, how much slower this process is. So when I first looked at this, I thought, well, I'm not going to scrap that many vehicles, so I'm only going to need one scrapyard for the whole map, which maybe for trains you might want. But if you look at the speed of this, and as this demo runs forward, what can happen is that, bearing in mind that this is a colony with 64,000 population, and the other thing also is, which you can do if you're not too sure, actually, I noticed this, that if you look through all the different vehicle types, if say for example you do a sort for bulldozers, there's a little number at the bottom of each box. There's a small number in the bottom left hand corner, and it tells you how many of each type of vehicle you've got on your entire economy. So like I've got 9 Stellantis S100 bulldozers here, and just to example, probably a bit more of a bigger example, if I can find the open holes, you can see here I've got 100 and where is it? I've got 20 SKD 600s. So it gives you an idea of how many vehicles you've got in your economy, and it is quite a lot. I'll completely honest. And you can see when this dumper, this waste truck is now being processed. Now what I'm going to do is basically exactly the same as last time, and we're just going to come into here, and we've got set there, and what I'm going to do is come into here and reduce this to 5 years, wasn't it? It was 5 years. And we've now got a cistern trader, because of course I've played on a little bit further now. What you'll see is that we've got Northwoods, Cloverton, Rover fire truck, distribution truck, Loverton Hospital. And what you will see now, well, because I've played on so far, we got a lot more vehicles eligible for scrapping compared to when I did the first run. But what should happen is eventually some of these vehicles should turn up. The rest of the mechanism is exactly the same. Come on, guys. It's going to take that. We've got snowplow just coming in now. Oh, yeah. So we've got the first trucks starting to arrive. And what you see is we now start, because we're doing the materials, what you'll see is, and what I want to show you is, see how quickly this is starting to pile up. Here comes another one. And when I was testing this in the previous attempt to record it, I ended up with about 20 vehicles in here waiting to be processed. But what you can do, if it gets a bit out of control, you can flip that and then it will just go to quick mode. So the game doesn't insist on a reset. The trouble then is you're going to fill this up with waste. So what we probably need to do, we'll just go back to the slow mode. And again, we can just push back there. So you can flip backwards and forwards. So if things get a bit desperate, you can actually flip between the two modes. And of course, what you probably would need to do is get here. Probably put something like this off this side. Obviously, I'm not going to set this up properly, but you could put in a dump here, which we'll just put in a very quickly put in a mud road so that the boys can get in and do this very, very quickly. 3, 1, 4, 4, 5, 8. Just get that there. High priority. And we can just do that there. You can see we're now up to 6 vehicles. Now, something I do want to show you. So I know it's a bit difficult to see, but all the vehicles that are currently being scrapped are on the top part of the map here, because there's no road connection between these very different parts here. So the bottom part of the map at the moment, no scrapping or vehicle replacement is going on because of this restriction. So if I come back to here, because it's saying 50%, 5 years, and probably I should be able to confirm that if I come back to list of vehicles, buildings, come to all vehicles, wear and tear. If I see this bus, it says 53%. If we go to there, oh no, oh wow, there's something else I just found out. Basically, until the vehicle's scrapped, it still shows on this level here. There's a little bit. So what I probably need to do is go down to here. We'll just let that run, and then if we come to here and we bring this up to set it to 3,000 meters, go to wear and tear. See what you see here. We've got a dump truck here at 52%. That here. In fact, I know what's causing this problem. I think. Let me just see. Of course, if you watch my video, I mentioned this, and oh no, it's 2,000 meters. So these are being repaired because of the problem that I didn't set the range. But what you'll see is that it's a bit difficult to actually understand and see. But if I put this at 3,000 meters, you'll see that we've got lots of vehicles at 50%, 49%, who are kind of coming up to repair. And these are being repaired, not being scrapped. So this is steam excavator here is still going here. Hopefully that makes sense, guys. We've also got a pretty scruffy truck there as well. I mean, this is a problem area, which is a bit of a hot spot, but I deliberately left it so for this. And what you'll find here is that these vehicles are there. So at the moment we've got 4 out of 80, 4 vehicles, 18 out of 30. So what we got, and of course this is a small one, so it's only got the 3 covered holes. So what it means is that these covered holes are going to take a little while to catch up. So if that makes sense, guys. But you can see that, but for the purposes of this video, you can see that these vehicles are not moving. The reason for that is that once you enable scrapping, the auto replacement only works to the scrapping office, and there's no road connection between the two. And if we go back up to the top, just to see how things are going up here, just to show you, see how many vehicles we got in here now. So we're scrapping out this vehicle here. We're gonna, I think what I am gonna do is, I'm gonna cheat a little bit here, guys, because I need the capacity and game settings. I'm just gonna disable realistic mode because I'm gonna need the capacity up here. So I'm just going to auto build that, just use whatever funds are available. And then what I'm going to do is just put in a... I must admit, I didn't realise how quickly this would go out of control. We'll just put you over there. And we'll put a warehouse in as well. Whoops. Put a warehouse in over here. And then that's around. You around that way so we can feed onto that road there. Just build these roads in. I mean, I would have had to switch realistic mode on for the next part of the demonstration anyway, so we'll just build this very quickly. Just get this built. And what that would mean now is that this the only thing we haven't got access to is the metallic scrap, but we can fix that by telling this guy he's set up for mixed waste. We'll also add, where's the metallic waste? There's the metallic waste. I don't know if you've got a drop off. We can set you metallic waste there. Don't think we're getting that much metallic waste, so we'll be okay. We've got 11 vehicles now waiting for scrapping, including a fork truck. This is what I was talking about. See, guys, normally to move a fork truck you would need to put it on the back of an open hole, but the game relaxes the rules with a fork truck. So what we've got in here, somewhere there, you can just see it there, there's a fork truck there. So what we've got here is a bit of a collection building up now, and you can see that this is taking a long time. We need more workforce. Now comes the fun part, guys. What I'm going to do is we're going to come down here, and again I'm just going no, right the way down to here, sorry. So what I'm going to do now is just auto build these roads through here, so there'll be a physical road connection between the bottom part of the map and the top part of the map, and I'll be right back once I've actually done it. Okay, welcome back. What I've done now is we've now got a physical road connection through to there. What I'm going to do now is we're going to go down to the bottom part of the map, open up this. You see we've now got one page of things. Now what should happen is that if we let the game run, this should start to pick up vehicles down here that qualify for things that says. And one of the confusing things with this list is the new entries come at the top, not the bottom. What you will see now is, if I just pause so I can read it, you can see we're now getting entries from the Black Country, Ironton Hospital, the Black Country build. So what's happening now is that because there's now a road connection to the scrap office at the top, what's happening now is that the vehicle replacements are starting to come in, and what I'll do and what should happen is that we got a few entries from Ironton here. We got a Caterpillar number 1 TQ High Valley Road. What you get is the replacements will still come in from the custom shed here, but what will happen is that eventually is if we watch the road here, because of course the road the vehicles have got to come down through here, and what should happen if there we are. We got our first little volunteer here, and you're telling he's now off to the scrapyard, and you can see he's got plenty of fuel, but it doesn't make any difference because if he runs out of fuel, they just keep going. They got an exemption from fuel. So this guy's probably he's disappeared already. Where's he gone? He's obviously quick off the mark because he's got a top speed of 80 kilometers an hour. But what I'm hoping to do is show you a potential problem. So we got the greyhounds coming in here first. Got this IFA W50 covered hole. This is 80 kilometers an hour. What I'm looking for, comes the next lot. We've actually got a gas vehicle here going through. And of course a lot of these vehicles will be coming down from high view because I had some very old vehicles here. So what we're going to have is a little bit of a parade of old vehicles going past now, which are due for replacement. So you can see we've got a steady flow trucks there. What we've got: a cistern truck, a bus. The thing you need to be aware of is that this what's happening now would kick in when you're playing a game from the start and you reach the 24 years, assuming that you haven't changed the parameters. So what that will mean is that suddenly when you get to 24 years, you are going to suddenly start getting vehicles moving across the map to scrapping offices. If you're playing with scrapping offices, if you're playing with scrapping offices disabled because you're not using demolition, it will just be the auto replacement. So suddenly you're going to get this surge of vehicles starting to move around the map. One, that's going to cause traffic jams, which is what actually happened to me when I did the first test, because what I did was I got a bit too carried away, and instead of setting this down to 5 years, I set it to 4.5 years because I was a bit impatient, and I dropped this down to 48%. And suddenly I had massive traffic jams of vehicles going all over the place. So you do need to be aware of that when this first kicks in, you're going to get a surge, and that will be particularly relevant. And I think one possible risk with this is that, say you've bought a lot of vehicles, especially possibly helicopters, at the same time, and what that can do is result in a surge of vehicles suddenly turning up at a scrapyard over there. But hopefully it will settle down as the cycle starts to replace. Wow, we got I hate to lose this guy. Unfortunately, you can't filter once you've got this going. It's an all-seeing parameter. Oh, that's just a normal waste truck. So we've now got, there's another one coming. I think he's out of place. So I'm losing some of my Peterbilt trucks, which if we probably go up to dark view, I just want to check. I've not really looked at this, but we come into here. Yeah, we're replacing these. So these are progressive. I think this guy doesn't qualify just yet. I think he's just been recently repaired. So what's happening now is we got this sudden surge of vehicles. So one thing I will say, guys, is if you're planning on using scrapping, make sure you've got all the connections. That would also apply to trail, because if you've got a single central office for trains, that office needs to be connected to all your rail network. Shipping is probably a little bit more relaxed. Now, if we go back up to here, where we can find these, see how well the scrapyard's doing. Probably this guy. needs to move on to, that's a pickup point for mixed waste. And we'll take the where's the scrapyard, scrapping facility? Mixed waste just from there. How are we doing? I mean, I think it's holding its own. We do have a problem with the scrap, and it says here we've now got a problem with the scrapyard here, in the sense that these guys aren't picking up the metallic waste. Probably you need this. But, why aren't you picking up that metallic waste? Metallic scrap. So my scrapping has come to an almighty halt here, because these guys don't want to pick up the scrap for some reason. Don't understand why that won't pick up the scrap. They were picking up the mixed waste. I did set the right disposal point, isn't it? Yeah, this metallic scrap. Well, we can do a bit of a quick fix here. Maybe it's if we, what was it I build here? I think we can just build an aggregate store, don't we? A small aggregate store. So if I can tack off, trouble is I've probably used up all the connections now. Let me just see. No, we got connection there. So if I build a small aggregate store off the back here, where's it? Conveyors. Gonna be in the wrong place, isn't it? Okay, we're gonna have to try and put that about there and see if I can get in a conveyor connection. Mods, please. Conveyors. Where's my conveyors? Conveyors, piped engines. There we are. Got power. Build this very quickly. We push the scrap out to there. Conclusion: if you're going to build a scrapyard, you probably do need all the ancillary buildings to be able to deal with the capacity. I don't know if these guys will actually pick up the scrap from. Oh, we need to build the road first. If it will pick up the metallic scrap from there. Okay, he's off to there. Just so resistant to dropping off the. I mean, it does work. The open holes don't move metallic scrap, so we do need about dumpers. Let me just have a look at dumpers. Maybe we can do it with dumpers. Metal scrap, okay. Sorry, I'm going to sell you. Maybe we need dumpers in here, not actually waste trucks. Just come in here. Will that fix it? Yep. So to move the metallic scrap, we actually need dumpers, not waste trucks. Good to know. And of course we've got the output here, going from here. I think that's about it, guys. Hopefully this has been useful. Obviously there's still a few more things to explain, because this is literally the basics. I think when you get into trains and aircraft, metro trains if you want to scrap those. To say that what I was talking about with trams is purely hypothetical. If any of you have actually scrapped trams, feel free to chuck it into the comments. But the only way I can think of is that you can also scrap trams is by connecting it to the railway, connecting it to a large scrapyard, and letting the trams travel up the track. And I think just to finish off, we'll just go and see if we have a run down the road here. This might be our first guy turning up to be scrapped up here. And there we are. He's got in here. And we are building up. Looks like we've got... Oh, look, we've got a couple of old vehicles got in here as well. See, we've now got 2 fork trucks there. So it looks very much like if when auto repair, the fork trucks will deliver themselves from the border as well. That's pretty useful to know. So, and that's even in realistic mode, although I know I switched realistic mode off, but I'm assuming that that would still apply in realistic mode. So that is there, but as you can see here that we've now got 25 vehicles waiting to be scrapped. As I say, I could just do this and clear the backlog very, very quickly like this by creating lots and lots of waste, which can then be shipped to various places. But I think that's about it, guys. There's a bit more to in depth to cover, but I think I've covered the basics. So this is where I'm going to leave it. Hope you enjoyed the video. Hope you found it interesting. Any comments, opinions about how anything else related to this subject, feel free to chuck it in the video description. But until next time, whatever you do, enjoy your gaming.